This weekend, I took part in an anonymous art show for International Artist Day. And I wanted to talk about how I got there, what it was like, and the results of doing it. Because I know that this part of the artist's life is a bit obscure for a lot of people, and I just wanted to share my experience. You can find shows like these by searching Call for Artists on Google. You could look at your local art center or even art supply stores. Sometimes they'll have a community page on their website that lists news and stuff. I think that's where I got my information for this one. And usually it's just a matter of following the instructions. They will often ask for an application fee in order to help pay for the show itself and for the jurying process, because people want to get paid for the work they do, and they collect a little bit of money to cover these costs. So how this anonymous show works is that it was presented as a fundraiser for the local arts council and probably the gallery itself. We paid $20 for the jury fee. We take our artwork physically down to the gallery, give it to them, and then they will have other artists look at it and decide which pieces would fit best in the show. If you don't get in, you have to go and pick up your artwork a few days later. There's definitely a lot of footwork in juried shows, which sometimes they do it digitally and it's really convenient. All 3 of my pieces were accepted. And in return, we have to agree to market the show to our local buyers. The goal of the anonymous show is that a bunch of artists get together to offer their artwork for a very, very low price, relatively, because the ultimate goal is sales. A bit of money goes to the artists and a bit goes to the venue so that they can pay and invest into future development. When the artists are anonymous, the playing field is flattened. When you go to a show, often prices are all over the place because you have beginning artists mixed in with established artists sometimes, so prices are all over the place. As you become more popular and your art is in higher demand, your prices tend to go up, otherwise your workload will also just continue to go up. And higher prices reduces the workload because it reduces demand. So it's not that there are unethical things happening or the industry is so unregulated that it's out of control. It's because artists are just a single person and you can only do so much. But when it's anonymous, everything is a flat rate. So it means that the people who are following the experienced and expensive artists have this opportunity to buy their art for a very low, relatively, price. $150 for a painting is not a lot comparatively, especially if this artist is a big artist who charges thousands of dollars for their work, which is likely. On the other hand, you might have really smaller emerging artists who are just starting out and they think $150 to sell a painting is just right, maybe a little low, maybe a little high. It might be really great for them. And also, nobody who is buying there knows which painting is yours. That's the game of the anonymous art show, is that your buyers need to guess which painting is yours. You're not allowed to show everyone what your painting looks like as a whole. You can give clues, but your buyers need to go there and they need to find your work, and hopefully they'll recognize your work for what it is, and they'll find it and they'll buy it and they'll get a great deal. Our artist reception was on a Saturday night. We went down there and I was blown away by the quality of the art there. It was so beautiful. A relatively small number of paintings were sold, and of course a lot of the ones that were sold were recognizable names that I had seen before. So for them, the show worked exactly as intended. They would have had buyers that would have known the work. They would have bought a ticket. They would have gone down there for this opportunity to get that artist's paintings for a lower price than normal, and they took it and they won, and they won their art lottery, and it was great for them. when it doesn't work is when you don't have local buyers who can pick out your work and they aren't going to come and look for your artwork. It would have been a really good deal. So when I got there, I was a little disappointed by the fact that all of my paintings were still there, and I'd put so much work into it. And I also have been putting a lot of pressure on myself for this to work out, because this is where I'm drawing the line between whether or not I can do this professionally now or if I have to wait longer and get a job. So that was a bit of a blow. But I was also really blown away by the venue. They had like actual food. They had an alcohol license. They had beautiful little china plates instead of paper plates, which I'd never experienced before. Everything was just jacked up in terms of classiness that I kind of I was really looking forward to. I was expecting something kind of like that, but I'd never experienced it before, so that was really cool. And the part of that night that I loved the most was actually just watching people interact with the art. I think this was definitely the most interactive I've seen people be with my art. Maybe because I'm used to doing shows anyway, so there was always like at least one person kind of taking a good look at it. But at this place, a lot of people just kept leaning in and trying to see like, what did this person do? How did they do this? And it was really funny, and it was too loud to overhear what they were saying, but I wanted to hear what they were saying so bad. And the whole time I stood there, I was like, man, I feel like I should elbow my way in there and talk to them about my art and explain more context, because there's no titles or anything, so there's no context to any of the art. I just can't bring myself to go up to people because I feel like I'm interrupting them or taking away their feeling of safety in looking closely at an art with nobody trying to sell to them. You know, like I feel like if I was looking at a painting and an artist came out of nowhere and tried to sell it to me, I would feel really like anxious from like the social anxiety aspect of it. And so I just kind of like avoided everyone and just kind of watched and tried to eavesdrop whenever I could. So I'm glad that I went. So the overall question I had for myself is, was this the right show for me? Should I have done an anonymous art show? Having not ever done it before, I thought, sure, why not? It sounds great. Now that I have experienced it, there are a few things about it that don't match for me. So if you're a beginning artist, you don't have a local following, an anonymous art show might not be good for you. And the reason that I can see for this being a good thing for you is maybe one, the feeling of acceptance, being part of a show with incredible artwork is pretty humbling, and it does boost your confidence, because being accepted into a show with all this beautiful art must say something about your art, right? Or if buyers find a piece of artwork that they absolutely don't recognize and they want to help you out, those are probably only situations in which you would sell artwork at the show, if you don't have your own buyers to come and search it out. Third, it does give you experience in the juried art show industry that is valuable, and you can take it with you. You can put it on your master CV, because the more you do it, the easier it gets and the braver you get. That's kind of about it. Another question is, are you willing to give somebody $20 or $30 or $40 for this experience and not get anything back? And here's why I think that anonymous show is probably not good for emerging artists. There's no exposure, for starters. My art is in a gallery, and you want your art to be shown locally to build that local buyer market. Anonymous art show is anonymous, so my art was hanging there with all this other beautiful art, and my name was nowhere. So people who are coming to the show and they're seeing my art and they're loving it, they're looking at it, they're talking about it, they love it, they don't know who made it. And that to me is a gigantic problem, because they can't find you afterward. How are they going to see you as a new artist that they love if they don't know who made the art. Galleries don't sell art that frequently, so pretty much the only thing you get out of it is having your art exposed to the local market. I didn't even really think about it until I was right there and I see all these people talking about my art, and I couldn't really reveal my identity. I couldn't really talk to them about my art because I don't even know if that would have been against the rules. That sucks, and there went my opportunity forever. They're never gonna find me again unless they just happen to see that same art somewhere, right? So if your art isn't already identifiable, without a name, without context, maybe you shouldn't do it for any reason other than personal enjoyment, a sense of accomplishment, a line on your curriculum vitae, and the very small possibility that someone might have purchased your art, which are not small things. I would probably do it again, but I would also have to realize that I'm getting a lot less out of it than normal. Yeah, that was my experience, and I hope that this helps a little bit to whoever might be on the fence of trying something like this. I think everything you do for your art career is worth it, even if it doesn't really work or it pans out, because experience is a big deal and you learn things. If you're able to do it, if you're financially able to, and you have the time, and you think the entertainment aspect of it is worth it, then do it. I thought the experience was quite fascinating. Thanks for watching this chatty video. I'll see you next time.